identified as a special education program. A child who is not identified has special education services. Because you can only give a program
Right.
to a child who's exceptional.
Okay.
So I guess what it gets down to is you had your training in the whole IPRC process and the whole special education process for 3 years before your son entered
Yeah.
school.
I was
And
really.
you were well
yeah,
trained.
I was.
Yeah.
And
Your first meeting with the school board, you were a veteran.
pretty much.
Like you came in there basically knowing what to ask and knowing what's been happening.
Yeah, and I knew all of the things that his therapist had been doing because I was at every appointment, I was at, every session that I could be. And so, yeah, I knew a lot about what was going on with him. I had done my own research on what he was originally diagnosed with. So I'd done my own research on that. His diagnosis has since been thrown into the wind. Basically, he actually had a test and he doesn't have the original item, which again freaked me out because now he doesn't have a quote-unquote diagnosis. He has global developmental delays, but that's, again, it's kind of an umbrella, all-encompassing, doesn't really tell anybody anything. So that kind of made me nervous as well.
Was that a test by the board or by?
No, sorry, by a geneticist.
So-
Sorry, yeah. And that was something else that I had to ask for. I had to ask for a second opinion because he was originally diagnosed with something called Freeman-Sheldon syndrome, which nobody's ever heard of. I'd never heard of it. No doctor that I've ever met other than at Toronto Sick Kids has ever heard of it. And so, okay, fine, we had a diagnosis, we had something. But everything that I researched and everything that was going on with Liam didn't fit. So I asked to see another geneticist. So my pediatrician sent me to Toronto, and there is actually a test now. There wasn't 5 years ago or 6 years ago when he was born. There wasn't a test, and now there is. So, but again, when I went to his latest IPRC, I said I mean, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to say that he still has that diagnosis when he doesn't. So I was afraid that they would try to take him out of the program because he no longer has a specific diagnosis.
It would seem to me that a global diagnosis is more encompassing than a specific one.
Yes. So
It's almost like you got a worse.
Yeah, he pretty much
diagnosis.
has it from all sides. He's,
I guess you volunteered that information though, because
Yes.
you went out and got the test yourself.
Yes, because I want to know if there's something else that we can be doing for him.
I guess that's another thing about the IPRC process that a lot of people aren't aware of, is that parents are allowed to put forward their own testing that they get done on their own from the private
Yeah.
professionals, but you're not obligated to.
No, and I have to say, like when he got tested cognitively from, we were sent to Bloorview Children's Rehab Clinic in Toronto, and that was basically I had to sign copious amounts of paper to say that they could share it with, exactly. But obviously I wanted his therapist at the CTC to know, and I wanted his teachers to read it, and because there are a lot of items in there that they spoke to specifically when it came to him getting older and in the higher grades. They specifically said, don't try to teach him how to write. It's going to frustrate the teacher, it's going to frustrate you. Sit him in front of a computer. He's good at it, he likes it, he can do it. So when you're trying to teach him how to spell and teach him how to do things like that, do it on a computer. Don't even try to get him to hold a pen.
So your specialists already talked about like a long-term strategy.
Basically, I believe they went up to basically grade 2 to 3 level is where they stopped.
Okay.
And a lot of it was guesswork because again, he wasn't speaking at the time. So they used a lot of different tests that didn't involve vocalizations, mostly pictures and that sort of thing, which is why they were hesitant to give any sort of diagnosis as well, because they said he doesn't fit enough of any one item to call him autistic or call him you know, this or call him that. So that's why they've kind of all gone with the umbrella of global. But again, I wanted that shared with his therapist and his teachers. These are the people that really are going to see him more than I do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I want to make sure that they know, you know, what to focus on and what not to.
See, I think in your case, because of the severity, you're at the situation where you'll go to your annual reviews and discuss the plans, and unless the board can show that there's been significant process to eliminate certain diagnoses in certain categories, because it's global, it includes everything. It's now going to be up to the board to say, okay, we've covered this, we no longer have to provide this service. We've covered this, we don't, like, there's no longer a need. I think from that point of view, you shouldn't have to fight to get the services. Now it's going to be a matter of, okay, what services are basically going to help him prepare to live a normal life when he gets out of school.
And because we don't have any sort of, and that's one of the reasons I've been pushing for a diagnosis, only because we have no idea what's going to happen long term. So he may plateau and stay here. Like I said, he's progressed tremendously in the last year. He had an amazing teacher at Redwood, and she did so much work with him. And the teachers and the therapists at CTC, I mean, everybody has worked so hard with him, and he's come so far. But we don't know, because we have no idea what the true issues are, where they stem from. We have no idea whether he'll progress further, or maybe this is his plateau, maybe. So every year is kind of a new thing for us. And with him too, because of all of the other underlying physical issues, you know, we have this thing where, you know, I know he's going to have surgery. Well, that's 3 months in a wheelchair, and I know the last time he was in a wheelchair for 3 months, he lost a lot of his physical strength. He lost a lot of the toileting gains that we had made. He fell right back, and we had to start at square one again. So it's frustrating on that level too, because I know what happened last time. And I don't want him to not have the surgery, because it will help him hopefully in the long run with his physical needs. But I also know it took, you know, steps back on other levels.
So now he is how old?
He's 5.5.
5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going into
Grade 1.
the grade 1
ISP
class.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had your IPRC meeting, so you've got the plan for next year.
Mm-hmm.
There's another meeting that's going to be coming up at the end of this year to put in place the plan for the following year.
Yep.
Aside from what's going on at the school, what's your game plan as a parent?
Fly by the seat of my pants.
I guess unfortunately the way the system is set up with the IPRCs, they have to do an annual review to see how much progress has been made from the previous IPRC, and the IEP is really concerned with annual goals.
Yeah.
Like setting, okay, where do we go from where we are now to the end of the year, how much do we want to get, and then at the end of the year, when they do a review of the IEP, it's okay, how far have we progressed, and where we've progressed now becomes our new baseline, what's our plan for moving forward.
Exactly.
They can almost only take a look at 1 year at a time.
Yes.
In their terms of their planning.
Mm-hmm.